welcome back to In the Front Row. We are doing another episode of The Boys, episode 4. Today I'm joined by my friend Taco, Marley, Jace down the bottom, and Don as well. How are we going, friends?
Good.
Doing great.
That's good.
Hi.
I'm doing great. I just dropped a deuce in Homelander's toilet, but I'm ready to talk about episode 4 of The Boys.
It was you. It wasn't her. We knew it. It was you.
I thought I heard something. I was stealing his drugs. That's crazy.
It's crazy because I was in the next room trying to put on lead underwear just as a precautionary measure.
Oh my gosh.
Fair enough.
We're going to move along from that one. So we open up this episode and am I excited to get some of this juicy stuff? I think we'll talk about the biggest juicy stuff we're talking about.
I didn't say anything. I almost said phrasing, but I wanted to
juicy
let it
stuff
go.
in this episode.
Oh, I'm excited to get
Really?
the big old juicy stuff.
A lot of juicy stuff with Homelander. We'll get to that towards the end, but I wanted to talk first about Billy Butcher because I think that this worm that's crawling through him, and I could be wrong, but I want to hear your thoughts on, do you think that this is some sort of like venom?
Well, is it that, or is this something from the Gen V that's like, is that, because he's seeing
It's from the virus.
That's what I'm saying. So is it something like, is it part of his power that's manifesting in like a weird way or something? Like, I don't know.
I just thought that scene where he was getting choked by the pastor and then he blacks out, and when he wakes up, he's like, oh, I did this. I got a feeling that was some sort of like venom, you know, like the symbiotic.
Symbiotic.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Symbiote.
Yeah. If it's
I felt the same way because it like
something
crawls right
living
into his eye, and then they just cut away, and you just hear the explosion. And I was like, something just happened.
Yeah, and he's not aware of it. So I just think, like, is this an alternate being in him coming out? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I have no theories on that. I'm one of those like I'm too dumb to figure it out, so I was gonna wait until somebody tells me what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kept thinking we're gonna learn by the end of the episode. I wasn't even smart enough to connect the weird wormy thing to the like cut to black and explosion thing, or what happened to the pastor. I thought that somebody else jumped in and he doesn't even know about it. I thought it was external, not internal. So I have no.
Gotcha.
Same, but also I'm with Taco. I could be a dumbass and not understand anything.
Yeah,
but like I thought it was just like the cancer, but I mean that actually makes more sense because in my head I've said this to a few people that I think if Billy Butcher dies, like the show dies. Like, don't get me wrong, I think every other character is dynamic and is but. Come on, Billy Butcher has that show on his back half the seasons.
Yeah.
I could explain comic books to you, but when a character dies, the character doesn't die until we know.
No, I mean,
as
trust me, I understand.
If Billy Butcher dies, we come back. Come back next episode. Something weird's gonna happen, and we've only been dealing with a dying clone for 4 episodes.
And see, I'm more on the other side. I'm with Jamie. I think this is some type of like. Either this is somehow controlling him, or it's at least like I don't know if him seeing his wife is him going crazy and dying, or if it's this parasite finding a familiar like thing to communicate with him through.
Yeah, something to keep
you know
him
what
going.
I mean? Like,
yeah. Keep
I'm
him
kind
alive.
of wondering on that part of it. Yeah, I don't know which way it is though either. I don't know, but
yeah. Moving on from that, we get Firecracker
January or whatever.
Show.
Yeah.
No, Firecracker show. So Firecracker comes and she's going to put on this big performance with the deep love lift us up where we belong. They start with that, which is super cringy.
It's so silly.
So we dig a little deeper into her relationship with Starlight. What do you guys think of that explosive scene with them where Starlight is punching into her for the child killer? I think I'll use that word. Reveal. In
the context of the show and what's going on, she, everything that happens afterwards is obviously makes sense. But what are you gonna do? Like she just lost it.
It was
whole show about people losing it, so it doesn't not fit for me at all.
It fits the entire theme of kind of the episode, like tying it. We haven't talked about Homelander yet, but kind of that building tension and not letting your anger get the best of you. There was kind of like a whole like calm down, don't murder the entire people or fight this person, beat this person up. So it kind of goes in with that. What bothered me was like, that's what she was doing. Firecracker did it across the street, like to egg her on. Everyone's watching. They're just trying to attack her via social media, via the Twitter. That's where wars are fought now. And like just trying to get her canceled. And that's how you do it, is you say something that through your audience point of view, they're all going to agree with, even though it's absolutely awful. And then you get punched because you deserve it. But then you go, oh, look, this person's punching me. And that's how you get rid of people now. And the fact that I think that Starlight would be a smarter person, like not to take that bait, but
Fair
at
enough.
the same time, I understand how much of a dagger that was, that even a very reasonable human being might go, okay, this person needs to get punched in the face. Like, I'm not a violent person, but I do have a limit. And I think that what Firecracker was doing, like, it's reasonable that it pushes Starlight over, but it just stinks that she falls into that trap.
Well, what Firecracker's doing, she's victim shaming herself, where Starlight attacks her and then basically is just like, oh look, poor me. Even though I was saying all these terrible things, and then I get beat up. Everyone should feel sorry for me, and people do, and it's terrifying where the show goes like after that. But Starlight really shouldn't have just Taco was saying, just control your anger, even though people are saying bad shit about you. At least they're talking about you. It's like, and bad press is just like good press, right?
Yeah, no, she definitely has to control herself in that situation for sure. Yeah,
well, especially if she's looking at where, like the political thing of she wanted to support that guy and have that the presidential nominee support her then reacting violently is going to lose everybody else. So she would have just stayed back and then did a counterattack through that. That's the way to do it, or say, hey, that never happened. Those are fake records. How do you know? But of course, it's confirming that those records are not fake by going and punching her in the face.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, exactly right. Exactly right.
It was a big tick for Sage and Team Homelander, that one scene having her explode like that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know who's scarier. I mean, obviously, physically and like what he can do to you, Homelander is scary. But this is the smartest woman on the planet, or smartest person on the planet, I should say. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she is definitely just as scary as him because she doesn't give a shit either, apparently.
And she's using it on that side.
Yeah.
And she
like
probably doesn't have a
version of it, and she's just like the super intelligent version of just extreme, like, I don't care. Like, we'll take the whole world over.
In her not... It doesn't feel like she has a dog in the race, that she's doing it because she's being asked to, which is just so scary of like, of, hey, I'm going to make the super weapon for our side. I don't know, man, for us side, like you're doing all this horrible stuff for him.
And she doesn't seem like she's scared of Homelander.
No.
She's not scared of him in any, like she knows he can kill, he can kill her, but she's just kind of like, yeah, but I'm smarter than you, and I can outthink you if I need to. Like,
yeah, she also knows that he needs her. Like, he needs this someone on the same level as him mentally and prepared to do anything. And she really, I think, is. Mm-hmm. She handed Firecracker those records and said, "This can be your last piece of the puzzle," or something like that. This could be the last piece of your show, and handed her those records, which we saw what happened from it. So,
you think Sage already has a plan in motion in case he tries to play something?
I don't think she's going to work with somebody like Homelander without already having 4 or 5 contingency plans already thought of. Marley, I think, has been wanting to say something.
Like, he doesn't want to kill Superman, but he's got kryptonite if he needs to. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like that for me. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I think Sister Sage is definitely one step ahead of Homelander, and I believe that she's even stronger, because kind of like leading into what we probably want to talk about later down the line. Homelander is broken like this season.
Oh yeah,
and I believe, and I think we talked about in the last episode of one of these. That's why Homelander brings in Sister Sage, because he knows that he's kind of needs someone to kind of like go alongside him, whether he planned on having her take over. That I don't think he planned that at all, but he definitely needs someone to kind of.
I don't think he ever thinks he's gonna die. I think he's a little too narcissistic to ever think that somebody's gonna take over for him. But I don't know where you thought that he was broken. Was it from the extremely subtle symbolism last episode of him talking to himself in a broken mirror? That was very subtle symbolism.
I thought, see, for me, I thought it was when he was collecting every hair, every gray pube.
Not even that, dude. Like, what? Like, he goes from this weird fetish with milk to now these hairs. It's like, dude, just
that's what I gotta look forward to.
Fixating on things, just leave something alone.
Is that his kryptonite?
Okay, before we jump into the Homelander's reunion at his kindergarten, I want to talk a little bit about Hughie and his development with A-Train, because I really like where they're going this season with A-Train. I like that he's getting a bit of redemption, and I like that he potentially could join the boys. So he hands over the temp V, or was it normal V, whatever it was. He hands that over to Hughie to give to his dad. Hughie doesn't give it to his dad, but something dodgy is going on with Hughie's mum, because clearly she gives Hughie's dad the V. So what do you think about Hughie's mum and what is going on there?
Yeah, she's shady.
Yeah, she got some shady stuff going on. She is some shady for sure. I have no clue. I'm not a theory guy. I can't see around walls. I can't see around corners. Skip me. Anytime you're like, Taco, make a prediction. I'm like, I can't see around corners. I don't know. We'll see.
Here's my only thing. Why would she automatically assume that he had V in his pocket? She didn't see it.
No,
she didn't.
So why would she just assume that that's what was in his pocket when he was like, standing there and she walked in on him? Because it wasn't out. Like, he had it in his pocket at that point. So she couldn't have seen it. It was just weird that she.
And also, even if she did see it, how would she know what it was?
Yeah, she's dodgy. There's something going on. She's got that little kit of all them like herbs and medicines, and I really think she's doing something in Vought. I feel like
she knows more than she's
known
for sure.
Maybe she was dropping a deuce with Ashley in Homelander.
Maybe. Oh, I feel horrible for that woman, man. Like, she's a piece of crap, but I feel so horrible for her that she's stuck there. Like, she can't just leave at this point. Like, she's like, Disney's been asking me for 5 years. I know this was last, but she's like, I feel so bad sometimes.
I want shirts
she
that
knows
say
way too much to ever leave.
I want dropping a deuce with Ashley shirts, please. But
yeah, I know, right?
I would wear one. All right, no. So hey, I'm trying to think around corners here for you. Hughie says he like never met his mom, right? Like he was like extremely young when she left, like what toddler or before, right? Like really, right?
He dropped her at school, and then she never came back to.
So school age, okay,
yeah.
And his dad's in a coma. So are we sure that's his mom or somebody or something like that? Because right now there's a child. And then the dude with no senses, he can't look and be like, "Hey, that's your mom, dude." Like he's in the coma. So I don't know. Maybe she's an agent or she's something else. Because if I was a very smart person like Sage or a very crazy person like Homelander, finding out that one of our enemies or a very powerful woman like the politician, I'm forgetting her name,
Victoria Newman.
Yeah, Newman.
Newman, yeah.
Yeah, her name's Newman, and she's like a mutant. She has powers. You're right. There's symbolism still here. But anyways, so if I was a very powerful or smart person, one of those three, and I find out that a enemy of mine has a very vulnerable thing going on, I might try to manipulate that situation into my best.
Okay.
No.
You don't think it's Newman?
We talked last week, Marley and Jace, about Hughie's relationship with Victoria Newman. They've had this brother-sister bond going on. Hughie tried to kill her last week. There's no way.
you can like have your opinions, and I can. Yeah. I think that she's just as evil. She's a politician. You're not gonna ever tell me the politician's a good guy. Get away from me.
Can I just insert fun fact here? They're actually dating in real life. You know that?
Yeah, but that's real life, and that's really cute. It's adorable.
I actually didn't know that. Marley, what did you think?
Well, I
about them dating,
of like characters that like to manipulate certain situations from Gen V. Could this be a possibility where I forget that Gen V's character's name? I think it's
the
Kate.
Shapeshifter. Yeah,
the Shapeshifter. What if Homelander is using her in some way?
And they did say that they were talking like right before, and he signed over the power of attorney, and Vought would definitely have his signatures everywhere. I would assume that they could easily forge him. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And that could definitely tie in Gen V with The Boys season 4 for sure.
I do like how they're linking in every single episode. There's like a little piece of Gen V in there. Like there was an episode of Tech Knight, the guy who likes donuts. And they said, oh, the Gen V kids, and they named them all. And they're like, they've gone into a black dark hole. And I was like, oh, wow, this is very Tech Knight, isn't it? So they're mentioning the Gen V kids throughout this season. And it's really good that eventually it'll link into season 2 of Gen V. So that's good.
So I wanna get into your theory a little more here, Marley. Are you saying Kate as in the psychic person, or then you said shapeshifter? Jordan's the shapeshifter.
Yeah, Jordan.
I like Jordan.
I thought you meant Kate. My bad, because Kate can manipulate situations to see what. That's what I think.
Could be
That's why I asked, because I was in the same boat as you, Jamie Lee.
Yeah.
Well, it could be either, actually. It could be Jordan, the shapeshifter, or it could be Kate as well.
Yeah.
I just don't think it relates anything to Gen V, because I think, well, what are they gaining from Huey's dad becoming a soup? It's sort of meh.
No, it's less about that and more about just manipulating Huey.
It's Simon Pegg. Of course he's going to become a superhero.
What are you doing?
But like, this is the thing though. So like, we all know it wears off. It's not going to be in his system
that
forever.
temp. I'm pretty sure they went and got actual Gen V.
Or
I mean,
V.
Oh, okay.
They went and got V, dude. Like, not temp.
Because Homelander's hiding all the vials of normal V in his little closet. So I think it's proper V, not temp V, as you said.
Okay.
Proper V.
Yeah.
Here in
V.
Australia.
It's real proper. You know what? A little proper.
That does make me think of just that one little part where Butcher is talking to Firecracker and she's like, "Can you speak English?" I love that little part.
Like,
so great.
I would like to talk more about A-Train and
I
Hughie
know.
relationship.
Marley would like to talk more about A-Train and Hughie.
Oh, sorry.
I just think that like their progression throughout this season is actually really interesting, just because I don't think A-Train or Hughie should like forgive A-Train like just for saving his life, because he really did do some damage, like really like irreversible damage like to Hughie by killing his girlfriend. Like he isn't forgiving him unless he gives him like this V, and they're kind of like when A-Train shows up and gives him like the V. I like that interaction too, where it's just like,
I love it.
oh, so so you aren't forgiving me, and he was just like, yeah, I am, but fuck you anyway. So
there's such a big difference between forgiving somebody and just not letting hate completely break down any communication, right? Like I'm at the point, you could be at the point with somebody where I'm not even going to talk to you. I don't want to look at you. I don't want to work with you because of something that you did. And even though now you're apologizing, you're doing something for me, that doesn't need to erase that. But you're dropping the hate. There's such a difference between dropping the hate and forgiving.
I think that also ties in too with the fact that A-Train ruined Huey's life. He completely changed his life, and Huey is now at the stage in his life where he's about to change someone else's. Does he let his dad die, or does he give him this V? So he's about to make a decision that could ultimately change somebody else's life as well, and that might be playing on his brain also, for all we know.
Sure.
I want to dive into a little bit with Marley, because I know last week's were his favorite scenes with Colin and Frenchie. Not my favorite moments, but this week we get the reveal that Frenchie killed Colin's family. So what did we think about that? And where is that storyline going to go? Or is it just a gap filler? What do you think? I don't know why I did this for gap filler, but anyway.
The honeymoon lasted all 3 episodes. So.
Oh, they're going to end up together, no doubt. They're going to definitely end up together.
I don't know, man.
Sure.
No doubt.
I've dated some pretty toxic ladies in my life, and like you kind of got to go through them before you go and get like meet the right one before you get married. But yeah, I've never dated a chick who or dude who just iced all my family. I feel like that would be a deal breaker.
I just like the scene where Frenchie finds out who it was, and it was him, and he's just in bed covering up the tattoos on his just
the scars on
I
his
really
ankle,
like this dude, but Sorry,
Yeah.
man.
Was
I thought he already knew from from like episode
yeah, I think
2.
he
No.
yeah.
He did not. No.
Yeah,
When he
no.
calls the French woman, he's like,
Yeah,
he's
he
like,
did.
she's like, you slept with him? Are you serious?
Yeah, that was last
And he
episode.
confesses to it. Like he basically
That
said,
that was in
I know
the
who it
previous 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Frenchie
knew. He just didn't
Frenchie knew, not the dude
Frenchie
knew.
knew,
Right.
but Colin
Yeah,
didn't know.
yeah,
that
Colin
he-
didn't know.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
yeah,
I thought you meant Frenchie.
I had the
realized.
same
No.
misunderstanding as Dom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Frenchie
My
knew the
bad.
whole time. The other
Yeah.
dude is just figuring out, or
Yeah.
Frenchie's telling him.
Yeah.
He basically tells. Yeah, I mean, he does tell him. Yeah.
Let me tell you about the time that that my entire family was murdered. It was
Yeah.
this weird French guy with these tattoos. Wait a second.
Wait a minute.
Oui, this was me,
I
mademoiselle.
don't know.
Hear me out. It was a completely different baguette, or whatever they say.
Yeah.
We're known for our accents here. We're good at that.
Botched accents.
Oh
Yeah.
no, that was a really good Frenchie one. That was really great.
Let's talk about Homelander.
Let's talk about Homie. I love that Anthony Starr calls him Homie.
Homie? I like it.
Yeah, I love it.
Homie.
We start the episode with Homelander entering the lab with his cake, his welcome home cake. It's a whale, which is very on
Fudgy
point because that relates to the deep, which I loved. And you just know from that opening scene, something terrible is going to happen here. We're going to get something.
The moment everything goes dark, I don't care how, like, I'm just like, shit. I'm dropping to my knees. It's just like, it's over. It's done with.
We're done.
What are you gonna do?
I like
We can't
that
do
in
nothing.
the superhero torture room lab / daycare. Your security guards like just a normal one, like just renting out with a gun.
That part too.
You could save it even that V for your security guards.
That's a great
and he's
point.
like, oh, sir, the lines are down. Like, wow, you're a really great.
I'm gonna grab my gun.
Do you not have anything else to communicate with the outside?
The lights are down. Oh, there's an elevator. I'll go shoot the elevator. Thank you. I'm scared guard. You get that job outside of Home Depot? Like, what are you doing?
Jesus. So we get that opening scene, and then we cut to all the other stuff that we've just talked about, and then they cut back and forth every now and again to Homelander's progression. So first we meet Frank, and there's that scene where he remembers Frank throwing the rubbish into the trash.
It was a sweet moment. He was trying to reconnect with the guy. I thought it was great.
This is actually no joke. One of my favorite sequences with Homelander ever.
Yes, 100%.
One of the scariest / funny, but like I was on my edge of the seat because the way the writing of that scene is so good because it starts off with, hey, let's play a game, and you don't know what he's talking about either. Like you're not at this point. We don't really know that he was tortured down here. At least I didn't really. I knew there was like something like he's from here. It was like brought up the test tube, but then it's like, oh, and I got to watch from that oven, and I'm like, oh, like the progression of that scene was
without a doubt. Like
that's how you're right.
Yeah, because you don't really know exactly at first. Like you know he's there for a reason. Obviously, it's Homelander. He's not just going there for no reason. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, but what did these people do to like what is his beef? And then as like you said, as it starts unfolding, you're like, oh, these okay. You're all dead. You're all dead. Like
I almost stopped for a split second because it was like he had to go back to his roots, so he went down there, and I was like, is he really just gonna make them eat cake and he's trying to learn more about his past? Because like that's also some weird Homelander stuff. I brought milk, that would be some weird, goofy Homelander stuff. But then he was like, you remember when you were melting me in that oven, Frank? And I was like, oh, he's murdering them all.
Yeah.
I think it's one of Anthony Starr's like best performances in this entire
hands down.
entire
sure,
series.
yeah.
And if he doesn't get an Emmy nomination for this episode like alone, something's wrong.
I agree. I think
whole establishment.
I think as a theater nerd, like a few of us here can all agree that like that scene, like Taco said, was beautifully done, and the way it ramps up scene by scene, where it's just each shot, you are literally on the edge of your seat until that that gets sunk. And then that third one, when, you know, he finally is just like, get in the oven, Frank. You're just like,
So
it's the turn,
But then-
too.
but
He
then
is
Barbara-
so good at being Homelander, he can just turn it on. Like
Yeah.
that, just immediate menacing, like,
But
that he
the thing
does.
I like
it's,
about
yeah, it's so good.
the thing I like about like this whole sequence is that like he's being menacing like this entire time and scaring like the living shit out of it, like everyone, like like in this room. But Barbara can all of a sudden just walk in the room, just be like, John, what are you doing? Just like, and
well, before we get
just
to
love.
Barbara, though, let's jump back a little bit and go to Marty. So we get the scene of.
I
was trying to avoid.
I got one more Frank.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got one more thing on Frank too.
Okay. Yeah.
Up until that, like when Marty makes that second shot, even you can see the hopefulness in himself. Frank 100% believes that. Holy shit, I might be able to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, this could be my moment. And then just like, and I feel like a few people, like, that goes to show, like, not only was it, you know, a great scene for Homelander, but also him. Because, like, you get behind him, you're like, holy shit, is he going to be able to actually get the fuck out of here? And then it was just like, you know,
and
he
then
turns to him. And it's just like you said, it's the switch that goes off on him, and it's just like, you're done.
We need to talk about the we're just following orders thing, which of course is like a famous thing that people bring up. You know, you do pick your jobs, and I do understand job market ain't great, but like example, I have a friend who is a tech guy, and he chooses to work in a public school because he likes the idea of working for the public, doing public service. And I've even said, hey, at my evil corporation I work at, they're looking for a tech guy. And he goes, you know, I just don't know if I can work for a private industry that I don't want to support. And I'm like, okay, so you're taking less money because of that stance. Cool. So let's flip to scientists. You could be working in a lab trying to solve cancer, but instead you're working in a lab torturing. You're not just following orders. You're following the paycheck, or you're following something else, or you have some sick thing going on in your mind. You're actually enjoying it. I don't think any of these people deserve to die, because prison time, absolutely. Being persecuted, absolutely. They are torturing a child, even if that child ends up being Homelander. No offense, Jamie Lee. But I just wanted to speak on that two things of, yes, they are guilty, but no, I don't think they deserve to die.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, Oppenheimer in a way, and I don't want to get too far into it, but I mean, he was trying to do something good with a new technology, wound up doing something very bad. You know, I think it's sort of the same thing in this, where they could have been for the, you know, science trying to do something with this new, you know, thing they found or whatever, but you can't just say, oh, I was following orders. No, that's not really how it works.
Was all the other science jobs taken at VOT?
Right, exactly, yeah.
Did they say, yeah, but you have to do that job for 30 years, Frank? You must.
Maybe that job was the only one that was going to be paying their rent. So capitalism.
Not to mention, it's all.
No, and I brought that up before. Is you're following capitalism, you're following the paycheck.
But it's also
it isn't the only job that pays rent.
So it's not like he was just standing there like, oh, I can take it. He was screaming the whole time, according to him. So they knew. It's not like they're like, oh, he can take it. It's fine.
They brought him to test his limits, not to test his endurance. There is a difference. Who's the next victim?
The next victim was Marty. And Marty.
Good old fashioned circle jerk is no problem. What's wrong with this?
Oh, that's what this one was. Oh, this is fun.
The team. There you go. Ew.
I know.
Like, when you think the show can get worse, it just keeps getting worse. Like, I felt horrible for Marty, but at the same time, I'm like, please just come. Can you just come? I want you to come.
And you get mad about the jokes you got.
At that point, you're just like, come. At one point, I
kind of right at Homelander's forehead.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. At one point, I 100% thought one of the women would have been like, "Come on, Marty. Come on, Marty."
Right, exactly. Something help him out.
Then come on.
Can somebody please call me Daddy? Please, just one and I can make this work.
Listen, like, don't get me wrong. He needed to do it, but like, A little encouragement in this stressful
yeah.
situation.
You know, there was a chick who was probably like, "No, Marty drinks my coffee." Like, you know what? No, Marty's a crappy coworker. She almost whipped it out, but she was like, "Oh, thank you for stealing my parking space last Tuesday," and she put it back.
Oh Lord, that scene was just bad. Again, you're
It was
on the edge of
crazy,
your
yeah.
seat because you think Willie let him off. You know, Homelander is very unhinged, but you
He was going to
also
let him get
don't
off
know-
for sure.
Listen,
let him get
I
off.
didn't say it. He saw. I left it alone.
John from
I
at the
mean-
buzzer.
I gave him the alley-oop with it.
No, I'm just mad because I'm like, I got at least 5 things that Jamie's gonna edit out up here, and then like everyone else is going for the 3-pointers, and I'm like, I'm still holding my ball, dribbling. Like, no, same in the green room.
Oh Lordy. Yeah. So we see poor Marty just get blown to bits, literally.
Roasted.
His bits got blown to bits.
His bits got blown out. And then we get to what you wanted to chat about, Marley, which is Barbara. Oh my gosh. Just from her entering, stole the show.
Barbara.
The way she spoke to him so confidently about his needs for being a human, his need for love, his need for human affection. She was ruthless. She thought she knew him to a T. And it kind of threw me back to when we met.
Yeah, Madeline Sitwell.
I was gonna say, I will say, I do think though there were plenty of women that he killed in that. Like in that, like there were at least three extras who were women that he killed there.
But it's women that his thing is women that stand up to him.
Yeah,
Sister Sage stands up to him. She's not
He's
fearless.
in a mom's. I mean, like his mom. He's a new mother figures, but that's kind of ties into his love of milk. God, that made me feel gross when I said that. But the motherly aspect, but also he's got a weird trifecta of sex, mom, and violence, which yay! But there's that big like Stormfront.
Kink.
He gets to attack her and hurt her, and then they can have sex, and then it's like, oh, you get to be my mom, and I can drink milk, and then we can have. There's this weird mom violence. It's so great. How heartbreaking was the John line for his height in the lab, and then Homelander 18 or 16 or whatever it was.
Jeez.
And it was just that right there. I was like, kill them all. The parent aspect of like once those lines and what they signify, your kid actually growing and becoming a human, and we're seeing that it's in a torture lab. Is where this kid's maturing, is in his torture daycare. It is so horrible. And like at the end, I'm just like, yeah, man, light them all up.
I also
even though earlier I said don't.
This scene, like the whole sequence, but from when Barbara comes out and then that ending scene of it, I think that whole thing is another reason why he should be up for some nomination, because I mean, it's just, you're captivated from the moment you see her interaction with him to the moment you see him leaving her, their first conversation in the room where she's trying to, where she's trying to tell her, hey, let's have this in my office. And he's like, no, we're having it here. Mm-hmm. And then like, again, like their conversation at first where she's calling him out on all his shit. And
then where she's right there. When you said, their conversation. So I could be wrong here, but so Soldier Boy made Homelander, right? Soldier Boy is his biological dad. So
his sperm,
his sperm dad,
yeah.
Well, in that conversation, she said that they paid some girl $2,000 to carry him to full term, and you burst out of her, like you broke out. So who is Homelander's actual biological mum? And
that woman, chick.
I took it as her lying. I took it as Barbara being like, "Oh, yeah, you know."
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Really,
so, like implanted her with the actual like full embryo.
Hughie's mom.
Oh, maybe.
So he donated his sperm to make a little.
Well, they just took it, I think. I mean,
well, like, hey, let's make a superpowered kid. Well, who do we got? Well, we have this superpowered dude who works for us. All right, let's take some of his superpowered swimmers and
Also,
into
make
a
a
human
superpowered
though.
kid.
Wouldn't they do it into a soup? Why didn't they pick the girl that like the ape?
Also-
Because if it were
but
to
also-
burst out, it would be better if we don't lose an accent. Oh my god, that's so awful.
Let's be real here, though. It also could be Soldier Boy was not a very like moral person. It could have been any of the people he had slept
True.
with, like throughout the years that they just kind of nabbed.
Yeah, they
just
didn't
like
just say she
popped out. But also, I do agree. It could be she could be lying. That is a good. I didn't think of that before.
I
But
hope-
also, I am an idiot,
I hope the idea
and that is a good storyline.
I hope the idea of him being birthed out of violence isn't a lie, because it does just work so well for Homelander. Of literally the first thing he did was murder, was forcing, was because that's what he pretty much does his entire life. I think both things can be true. I think that he could have an important like egg donor, and then what she said is true. I think both can be true.
Well, I just thought with those conversations, she was very, I know everything about you. I know you. I know this. And she thought she was one step ahead. But I just thought maybe that conversation about him being birthed that way could have ticked in his head going, no, I know who my dad is. I know who my mum is. Like maybe he knows more than what she knows so far that we don't know in the show. Maybe I don't know. I could be overthinking. But sorry, Jace, what were you saying about her? You really liked their conversations?
Yes, I enjoyed the conversations. I thought it was just another great moment to show how well, one, he is as an actor, and two, how much you can see he has these moments where he can turn on and off this kind of like psychopathic tendencies. And I think like, what's right behind us, him having this moment in the elevator right after he leaves her, and he's kind of like smiling almost, where he's like, he's proud of what he did. Yeah. Like he's extremely happy with what he had did there that day, and he feels, one, dignified, and two, a bit relieved. It almost looks.
This is him. This is therapy. Is mass murder is therapy for Homelander. It's probably really therapeutic and healing in a completely messed up, awful way.
Yeah, but it's also too like he's even scarier because he still hasn't, like, I don't even want to say reach his ultimate form, but he still doesn't quite dive into the fact that I'm better than everybody yet. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he still has these issues like this whole episode of him going through these human emotions that he's trying to separate himself from, but yet can't get away from. When he finally snaps and he's just like, oh no, I am actually better than you, and I don't care what you think anymore about me. This dude's a scary, scary person. And not just because of his powers, he's just psycho in general. Like, he is just a psycho person because of, again, upbringing and everything else.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, with
it's not his fault, but it is. It's, at the same time, it is.
But both can be true. You can have a awful upbringing and awful things can happen, but at the end of the day, your actions are your actions.
But he still holds back. He still has that.
Yeah, there's gonna be when he just believes he's just a god, and all of his playthings are actually playthings, because he does preach it. He preaches, hey, we're better than everybody. He'll say it out loud constantly. He's like, hey, humans are just playthings. Check him out. But at the end of the day, he still has those. He doesn't put them out, but he still has these human emotions and feelings, and he still has these real things to him that all of us real humans have. But yeah, when he finally
loves
lets
the
go,
cat and mouse of him just being more powerful than everybody. He just loves that.
When he just lets go and ices the dude on the streets, but doesn't think twice afterwards, then then his hair is gonna spike up and there's gonna be lightning around him. And he's gonna go super Homelander. I know I did that for you, Padawan. I did that for you.
I think that he's really smart in showing restraint. He's very angry at that lab. He could have he did tore them all to shreds, but he left Barbara there and he melted the door so she cannot escape like they did to him. That is terrifying to me, that he could have murdered her. He could have been like, yeah, screw you, and had that angry violence come out. But he was one step ahead and thought, no, I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you what this room did to me. And that terrifies me. That makes me really scared to think, wow, look at how his brain is one step ahead of everybody, which
Yeah,
is
he's not
exactly
stupid.
why
He's definitely not
No,
stupid.
no,
by any-
absolutely
yeah,
not.
no, not at all.
So
Yeah.
clever.
In exactly what you said, Jamie Lee, I love that. And you know, he did to Frank what Frank did to him. He did to Marty what Marty did to him, at least in his eyes. And then she left him in that room. So just killing Barbara was too good for her in his eyes. In his eyes, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, no. So I like that even at the end he kept on with the plan of no, we're talking in this room because I'm leaving you in it.
Yeah. It's revenge. And part of it is, I think, too, that they obviously would have used him to test other things like, oh, can you use your eyes on this person? Or can you rip this person to, you know, as a kid growing up, he would have done multiple testing in that room on probably humans, you know, because
absolutely.
we saw in Gen V that Dean Shetty had her own little laboratory where she was doing the wrong things to these soups as well. So it just makes you wonder how much of this is actually going on, because this was just Bort's lab. This was one lab, you know. So
this is just his daycare.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what could be happening.
Oh man, is this like the twist in Fallout where Vault just has all these different scientists all over the world just doing different experiments on different types of.
To answer your question, yes, because there are other powerful like soups that they put together. Where is Lamplighter's lab? You know, where is whoever's lab? So I do like to think that Homelander is a special case because the other ones were just like, oh, we're gonna give these like parents in Kansas some Gen V and they're gonna inject it into their baby, and then a superhero is gonna be born and they're not gonna know they're a superhero. Blah 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 blah.
So we're talking about Ryan. Speaking of him, where do we think he is during this episode? We don't see him at all. This episode.
He's playing video games.
Talking to Butcher on the headset.
Dude, you can't make the commitment of a fighting game hobby and not commit time to it.
I thought it was actually really well done that they didn't show him, and it was just kind of left open to be like, well, what is this superhero teenage kid doing on a day by himself?
He's playing fighting games, yo.
I just think that there's a whole can of worms to be opened with him because Homelander is raising him, and that is terrifying from what we just saw there. And the fact that he wants to lose his humanness, that's scary because, he will lose all empathy and any sense of reasoning will just go out the window. And I think having Sister Sage beside him is even scarier because he's going to be one step ahead always. Before we end this, we are going to quickly chat about Sister Sage because we did say last week about the lobotomy thing. I thought it was in the brain, so did Chase.
It is.
Well, it is.
To the brain.
It is, yeah. You just got to get in there.
Yeah, right.
You want me to show you here?
If you just
stop it.
No. With that weird shaped dildo, that was so funny. The Deep's like, I've never seen a dildo like this before. Put it in me. The Deep is disgusting.
I didn't know we could talk about this scene.
So the moment I was gonna say though, it was hysterical that he was extremely on like, I don't know about this. I don't know. I'll let you fuck me up the ass. All right, where do I gotta put it? Where do I gotta put it?
Sit down.
Right here.
Can't we just have one normal soup that doesn't have to have a weird fetish to like?
No, that's the point.
Can't we just have one? Just give me
the point, damn it. No.
Superhero has to be jabbed in the brain to
I don't think we know what.
It's not the climax. It's just to be there in the moment and enjoy.
But yeah.
Not to bring up idiocracy, but you see the smart people don't bang enough, and the idiots are like, "Hey man, put it in."
That's fair.
Well, I mean, it's just insane because I was going to say, like, I don't think we see A-Trains, and I think that's probably the best example we have. He's probably, like, the most, like, on the DL about his sexcapades.
Wait, what do you mean?
No,
we saw his early, the first season.
We saw A-Train. A-Train's girlfriend sat on somebody's face and smooched
him. He sat his head off, yo.
Right. A-Train is the dirtiest.
That's right.
A-Train was in a pop claw. And
it's
pop
been a while.
Squatting.
It's been a while. Okay, my bad.
God, I'm
getting
Randy.
Retracted.
Since then, he's
Well,
like,
dude, I
okay,
mean,
we
you
can
gotta
do
be
that.
fair though. There's only a few crazy things happen each season in this show, so it's it's hard to keep them all together. I did just want to touch on one thing because I thought the girl that Kimiko was going after was going to be her sister because wasn't
me
her
too.
sister in the first season, or they talk about her in the
brother.
first season?
It was
No,
her brother.
she had a brother.
A brother. Okay, so then never mind. Because I was
Which
like,
I'm-
how is this not her sister? But I guess
Oh
it's
man, how did we
captured for
forget
them.
about that
No.
performance there, where the girl in Japanese is like, "Dude, do you remember that you kidnapped me and made me fight you?"
Yeah.
And the actress that Jamie Lee got to be there for that panel, but her performance was that tear, and she just like you could just see like, yeah, I know all that hell went on, and I was forced to do it, but she can't talk. And she's just like, I know, but I want to help you because I got helped. And it's like, oh, that performance was nuts. It was stupid good.
No, the actress that plays Kimiko is amazing. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, Karen Fukuhara. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
But
she's so
I think it ties in with the whole episode. Like this violence and revenge. Like we've
cycle
had it
of
with
abuse
Homelander. And not being able to forgive and forget. We had it with A-Train, we had it with Homelander and Kimiko and that girl. Like Kimiko is the one fighting to save these kids and to free them from this the shining light or whatever that group is, and yet she recruited them. She was part of that problem. She was just doing her job, just trying
and
to
now
survive.
this girl is doing the same thing for them, and
Yeah.
that's even sadder. Like now she's just like, oh no, I'm this is what I do now, kind of thing. Like, it's a sad cycle.
We
Yeah,
just
it's sad, isn't it?
we did a circle of symbolism, which is always my favorite thing to do when you're like, all the plots are connected, and it's like, oh my god, let's dance. We did it, guys.
Eric Kripke's really smart. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. This show was brilliant.
I like it when a show has good writing. So,
it's got amazing writing, amazing performances.
Oh yeah. Like 3 just in this episode that like floored me. Yeah.
And everybody gets their time to shine in this show too. That's the other great thing is everybody really gets a chance to have those moments. Yeah.
Well, in the first season of The Boys has just been about trauma. Like the first 2 seasons, like almost everything is like something awful happened to every single character, and this is how they're trying to figure it out. Homelander, Butcher, Kimiko, all of them, right? They all have these awful things happen. So like literally in Hughie right away in the first episode, almost everything is about a traumatic experience in somebody's past, even Mother's Milk, Frenchie, all of them, right? Traumatic experience in somebody's past. And that's what the first couple of seasons really are on. And it's weird of how we still haven't really left that. And now we're really just seeing now the effect of how you're dealing with your trauma is affecting other people is like almost where we're at now. It's like, hey, I understand that you went through some horrible stuff, Homelander, but can you please stop killing protesters? Like of how your trauma is now manifesting and hurting everyone around you, and not just Homelander. I've just used him as an example because I have a bloody Homelander face directly in front of me, so he's still in my head. But everybody else is
right on the head too.
But even like Kimiko of showing the she went through something traumatic and then she had to force other people to go through something traumatic. Like of your trauma spewing out is like really what this season's kind of looking at, which is
just needs therapy.
Awesome.
Like,
is there no therapy?
Can this season just conclude to just everyone just get a subscription to BetterHelp?
So now, if you go, I was going to say, now, this is just great. Thank you. Now, if you go to BetterHelp/Padawan Frito, you'll get 10% off.
I saw the joke coming before you thought of it. Like, I was like, Frito's going to make a BetterHelp joke.
Intrigued to see where Colin goes, like, later in the season to see, like, does he actually kill Frenchie, or do they actually like make amends and they get back together, or something like that? Because I think it's weird that's just ended. Like
it's too early in the season. Yeah.
Whatever the final plan is, he's gonna mess everything up trying to kill Frenchie.
Unfortunately, because as much as I wish I want more for Frenchie than just this, because he's such a great character. But like, I truly do think that like they're going to play this whole arc between those two out the entire time. And now even if this guy forgives him, Frenchie, I don't think he's got too much honor in himself to let this man love him after that.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way he's going to let him have a relationship and look this man in the eye every day knowing, hey, yeah, I killed your mother, your sister.
He's already been doing that for a little while. He's already been doing that for a little while. After he figured it out, he was like, oh no. And then he went right back and like, no, now he's like, but now he knows.
Now he knows.
Which is like, that's like toxic relationship. Like, I was okay to cheat on you, but now that you know I'm doing it, I'm feeling bad about it.
Yeah, like, I don't think it's going to work. I think that Colin was thrown in, as Don said, to be some sort of something that causes a hiccup throughout the rest of the episodes, which will give Frenchie some sort of little storyline to go on, like we've had with Kimiko and that girl from the Shining Light. They've gone their own little direction and swayed a little bit from the boys, and I think that's the only reason why Colin has been put in there. Personally.
Which I will say, I feel like
every character in the ensemble gets a chance to shine, which I think Don said earlier, right?
Yeah.
And I like everybody gets their little.
I just think that Kimiko is underplayed because I think she's the strongest soup. She can literally get shot in the head and then just revive herself. And I just want to see her do something more killing, have something more than just, she's trying to save the Shining Light kids who she once was. But now we're realizing that she was the recruiter of that. So she is technically a bad guy herself.
Well,
so
she was being controlled or manipulated and messed up while she was doing it, of course. I think it's a little less like I was just following orders because it wasn't a job. She didn't apply for that, right? She was kidnapped and all messed up, and it was all she understood. Yeah. Which is all tied into the same drama or trauma in her head.
I just think she's really powerful and I want to see more.
Yeah, I love her. She's great. I think she's been one of the best members of the team.
The fact that she took a grenade launcher to the abdomen, and then like the next scene was just like, that's definitely an OP character if I've ever seen one. That is definitely unrealized. But I will say,
she's Japanese Wolverine. Let's go.
It's upsetting because like I think Frenchie and her, the last two seasons, this one and last one, I think they've done this to them where they've kind of stubbed their characters a bit, where they didn't fully give them satisfying arcs that were dignified for their characters.
They're definitely going with them this time. Yeah.
These two characters are extremely, they're great characters. Frenchie has an insane past. We all seen it. And Kimiko, same. Now we're learning more about it. I think these characters have great potential. I want them to do more with it, like Jamie is saying, and I think they deserve more.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that one. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that's all we have to say. That's our thoughts on episode 4 of The Boys. Can't wait to be back next week where we can talk all about episode 5, and it's going to be really exciting to see where they go with Homelander because the way they closed that episode was just perfect. So we can't wait to talk about that with you guys next week. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me.
Bye.
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 Perfect.
Perfect.
You use that audio.
It was better.